Recently, I did a video about the first battle of Adobe Walls, which took place in 1864. The first battle was between a U.S. Army force led by Kit Carson and Indian tribes in the Panhandle of Texas. The second battle was again against the Indians of the area, but this time the adversary was a small group of civilians. The Adobe Walls area of the Texas Panhandle was so named because of an abandoned trading post in the area that was built with adobe bricks in 1843 by famous trader William Bent. The outpost was abandoned after only 3 years due to constant attacks and harassment from the Indians of the area. Just a side note, if you are a fan of Lonesome Dove like I am, there is a poignant scene which took place in the Adobe Walls ruins which is of interest. In the scene, Augustus McRae consoles Lori after she was abducted and abused by Blue Duck's gang of criminal misfits. Anyway, back to the main subject of this video, the Second Battle of Adobe Walls. In 1874, a group of enterprising businessmen had set up a small town near the spot of the old Adobe Walls settlement. The complex included a store, corral, a sod saloon, and sod store from which buffalo hides were purchased. 200 to 300 buffalo hunters had moved into the area seeking more fertile hunting grounds, and the small group of establishments served those hunters. The remaining free-roaming Indians in the area, mostly Comanche, Cheyenne, Kiowa, and Arapaho, felt threatened by the post and buffalo hunters operating in the area. In 1867, the Medicine Lodge Treaty had specified that the land between the Arkansas River and Canadian River be reserved as Indian hunting grounds. However, several buffalo hunting parties were operating in the area in violation of the treaty. The outrage of the Indians was reaching a boiling point, and 4 whites were killed in the area in 2 separate incidents. On June 7, 1874, there were only 28 men and 1 woman at the small Adobe Walls settlement. Included in that small group were a young Bat Masterson and William Billy Dixon. Masterson would go on to become a famous Old West lawman, and Dixon would become famous for his long-range shot in the battle that would in effect end the siege of Adobe Walls. Earlier in the spring, the Indians held a religious ceremony called a Sundance, in which several tribes participated. Comanche medicine man Isatai promised a victory if a battle ensued, and immunity from bullets for warriors who took the fight to the enemy. Early on the morning of June 7th, a large force of around 700 warriors attacked the defenders of the small settlement. They almost carried the day, but the small contingent of defenders were successful in repelling the initial charge, and the Indians pulled back and maintained steady fire most of the afternoon before retreating back out of range. The Indian combatants stayed at a distance, trying to decide how to proceed. In effect, they had begun a siege of Adobe Walls. During the second day, the besieged white men in the town received a small number of reinforcements from the surrounding area. On the third day, 15 Indian warriors rode out onto a bluff nearly a mile away to survey the situation at the small group of buildings. Billy Dixon was known as a superb marksman, and at the urging of one of the hunters, decided to take a shot at one of the Indians on the bluff. With a borrowed Sharp's rifle, he took an impossible shot and miraculously killed one of the Native Americans. Seeing one of their comrades killed from such a distance demoralized the Indians, and they broke camp and gave up the fight. Why would a force with such a dramatic superiority in numbers not continue the fight? It is speculated that they probably assumed that if they kept attacking without dislodging the defenders from the buildings, they would continue to suffer lopsided and unsustainable losses. Also, they were demoralized when they realized that the pronouncement from their medicine man that they would not be vulnerable to the white man's bullets was in fact not true. For probably many reasons, they felt that continuing the battle was not in their best interest. The historic significance of the Second Battle of Adobe Walls is greatly enhanced by the successful long shot that Billy Dixon took during the battle. It was obviously a lucky shot, likely taken with a .50 caliber Sharps 2.5-inch case loaded to 50-110 specifications, reportedly borrowed for the shot. He owned a .45-90 Sharps, but felt it did not have enough range. It would be a tremendous shot even today with modern rifles, but given the firearms of that period, it was miraculous. A team of U.S. Army surveyors under the command of General Nelson Miles measured the distance at 1,538 yards, approximately 9/10 of a mile. Others have set the distance at more like 1,000 yards. I tend to lean toward the 1,000-yard estimated distance, but just suffice it to say, it was a tremendously long shot. 3 months later, Dixon participated in the Battle of Buffalo Wallow, along with 4 Army regulars and 1 other civilian, against a large band of Kiowa and Comanche warriors. The 6 participants were awarded the Medal of Honor for their heroism in that battle. In 1917, the medal was revoked from Dixon and the other civilian, Amos Chapman, because it was concluded that only active military were eligible for the Medal of Honor. In 1989, the Army Board of Correction of Records reinstated the awards. Dixon went on to a productive life and lived much of it in the Adobe Walls area. The Second Battle of Adobe Walls was significant in that it played an important role in the eventual end of free-roaming Native Americans in the area. The Battle of Buffalo Wallow and ultimately the Red River War of 1874 through 1875 resulted in the relocation of Southern Plains Indians into what is now Oklahoma. There are a couple of museums in the Texas Panhandle area that might be of interest to anyone who visits the area. One is the Panhandle Plains Historical Museum in Canyon, Texas, just south of Amarillo, and the other is the Hutchinson County Historical Museum in Bossier, Texas. I have not visited either, but if I'm ever in the area, I think it would be well worth the time to visit. The area has a rich history worth remembering. If you enjoyed this video, give a thumbs up, make a comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. As always, thanks for watching.